Hello, Ron. Hey, what's going on? Nice to see you.
Good, good. Nice to see you too.
It's been a little while, so
Yeah,
um,
yeah. We're a little
what's
we're a
that?
little we're a little jet lagged. We just got back from LA.
Oh, I got you. Okay, that's cool. Well, as you know, I'm here in the middle of the map here in Kansas City, Missouri. It's good to catch up with you about Volume 2 and your world of music. So thank you for taking a minute out today.
Thanks for having us.
Yes,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So before we get into the new project, I want to know, how did you survive COVID? COVID was quite a thing. It did its own thing to the jazz community and musicians. How did you get through it? How did you survive it?
you want me to go? Or you?
Go, you go.
Okay, I'll take this one first.
He did better than I did, actually. So that's why.
Actually, it was a good time for me to do a lot of the stuff that I had been putting off for decades.
Yeah.
Which is writing a lot of. There were so many arrangements, so many songs I wanted to do for Angela with the big band, and some instrumentals as well. So during the entire COVID time, I was either writing arrangements or writing my book. I wrote a book. The Era I Almost Missed is what the book is titled.
Actually, you can see the.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
right there.
Actually, this is the book,
I love it.
and it talks about my life in music and how I caught the tail end of the big band era, and a lot of stories about some of the bands that I played with, going back to Les Elgart's band, and of course Woody Herman's band, and then later I crossed genres with Lennon, and so I had my hands into a lot of things. But I actually caught the tail end of the music business, and I talk about some of the bands that I played with, some of the craziness that goes on the road, and some of the good things as well. Scott, gave me a nice review for the book, and that was like hitting a home run for me. But that and of course the writing arrangements is what really got me through the pandemic.
We had, we had moved. We moved right before the pandemic started, from a big house into a co-op, into a small apartment, and then we moved again during the pandemic. We had we had gone into escrow on a place, and we ended up actually moving in June or July of 2020, which really drove me out of my mind. So that was about it. But yeah, we really, I think because of the way that we both work from home. He's either writing music or whatever he's writing, and I do voiceovers and stuff. So I think we were lucky in that way, because we had stuff to do to keep us occupied and feel vital while we kind of, just waited for things to pass. A lot of our friends didn't do as well, and it kind of breaks my heart. But we're here to honor their memory and to move forward. How did you do?
I got out with the kids, and one thing I will tell you that's been resoundingly triumphant about that time was that, the tenor and timbre of the voice of the jazz community was resoundingly positive and strong. So I would play interviews for my kids. I have a stepdaughter who at the time was, it's all melting. It's like Dali's melting clocks. I'm trying to keep up. So 3 years ago, so they would have been about 15, 16, and my son's special needs. So I would play the interviews and they would listen to the interviews, but it was also an outlet for me to really dig in and to allow the musician to talk about their artistry instead of letting the dark in. And it was, for a lot of musicians that weren't traveling and weren't doing things, an outlet, especially in Brooklyn, and especially in places where everybody was stacked up in a tinderbox and couldn't go anywhere, and neighbors were getting upset that instruments were getting played all the time. They had this outlet, and it was the symbiotic relationship. And honestly, of all of the hundreds of interviews I did, there was only one that went sideways, and I offered the musician the opportunity to not do it, but his wife was the manager and said, absolutely not. You're going to put that out. I want you to put it out. And it was just things that we realized, just musicians not getting paid enough, royalties, streaming, things that we all know, as conscious, like inhabitants of this planet and consumers, that musicians in the world of jazz don't get their due monetarily. And that was kind of the gist of what we were talking about. So anyway, I didn't mean to go on a tangent, but it was a good period of just really digging into the story, because no matter what we do, it's a story. It had a monopoly on us. You had to figure a way out. And as you know, Ron, writing a book, it gives you that time to kind of weave together this tapestry of a life that's been dedicated to an art form.
I like that.
Yeah, because Angela had been asking me for maybe the past decade. We'd sit around, I'd be telling her these stories. She said, "You got to write a book," and I just never had time. It was, and I hated the idea of looking backwards. Anyway, I'm kind of looking forward all the time, looking for my next gig, my next whatever, and another tune to do or whatever. I try to look forward, and then when you open that back door, you don't know what the hell's going to come out, and I wasn't excited about going over my life's history, but I decided to jump in, and I found that once you open that door, the stories just kept, it almost felt like the book wrote itself. It was kind of strange.
We're digging through old photos. He was always very good at taking pictures and videos of stuff that kind of documented his musical career over decades. I mean, before I even met him, and I'm astounded at the amount of pictures and people. And as we started putting them up, as he was finding these photos, people would say, "Wow, where did you get that? And who's that in the band?" and everything. And it kind of reconnected him with a lot of people, because they recognized themselves and they were just so happy to have an actual photo of something from a period that they had thought was just, in their memory only.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing that I've enjoyed about doing this show, is that when I started doing it in 2011, I was like, I'm not reading from the history books. I'm not taking somebody's third party interpretation. I want it from the artist. And I think that's the thing. It's very important, because jazz is one of those things that's a deeply personal art form, and it affects people on a very personal level. And the practitioners of that art form are all, at the end of the day, people, and they deserve to have the story. They need to tell the story. So I think that's very important for all the musicians, which is one of the reasons why I like doing the interview series, because the story not only gets out, but you also click on a domino. Like, I understand the existentialist notion. I live like that too. It's like, I just don't want to keep digging into the bat. Let's keep going. But there's a part of that where if you do stop and you flick that domino and all of them start falling down, all of these things start filtering out, in the dust, in the magic, all of the stories that we all need to know come out. And it's just because you don't know what young musicians listening to what story you're talking about from the big band era, and what you might spark in them to listen to the big band era and say, "Oh, wow," and then it's just, it creates a musician that's better, or a richer story, which is a good thing.
It is a good thing. He doesn't even realize it, because, you feel very young, because music keeps you young. You're constantly thinking about different things, and you're absorbing. He's not stuck in an era or a period, which is something we always laugh about when people say, "Oh, big band. Oh, music from the 40s. No, it's just the size of the band, It's not from the 40s.
Right.
So,
Right.
I don't understand that musicians are always here. People that have passed on, were they alive today, they wouldn't be playing the way they played, in the 40s, the 50s, or the 60s. They're constantly evolving.
We're not doing Glenn Miller.
No, we're not doing
it.
Right.
No, absolutely not. Well, and that's indicative of the new album. How does it feel now that the world's opening up and we're kind of opening a new chapter? How does it feel to have Swinging with the Legends 2? What does this project mean for you?
It's wonderful for me. When the day that we recorded, it was about a little over a year ago, we just piled into the studio for the first time. We had been doing sporadic rehearsals and stuff. And actually, the very first rehearsal we did with the new music was, 2022 in April, when the Union in Manhattan just opened up, and we actually were on the front page of the Allegro. We were the first big band to rehearse back when they finally opened up again. So it was still like, just sticking your toe in the water.
We made front.
Right.
Probably annoyed everybody. That's okay. But the day of the rehearsal, I'm sorry, the day of the recording, it was such joy. I was in a booth all by myself, but the band was outside, but they were in a horseshoe looking the other way. I was, of course, just looking into the microphone. Everybody was isolated. I didn't see anyone else, didn't know exactly what was going on. Someone was recording me while I was in the booth, and I didn't know it. So after we looked, and I was dancing in the booth. Yeah, and this is not me. I'm very reserved.
Other than the audio engineer, somebody was with a cell phone.
Oh yeah, on a cell phone. Yeah, I just didn't know it, and actually, it's a little embarrassing after the fact, but it was just so funny because I was so happy. I had never been more joyful singing than that day.
I never saw her jump around before ever singing. She's usually pretty still in the studio. She had it all going.
That's awesome. Yeah. And that's the beautiful thing about it is that, we've kind of been in it a little bit now doing live music, but there was that exuberance. I know as a consumer of this art form, just being in a club like the Blue Room on 18 and Vine. And the weird thing is that during the pandemic, Kansas City was one of the longest. We were one of the few places that never shut down because we didn't shut down during Prohibition. We had Pendergast. And the jazz was going crazy. So we were one of the longest. So when we closed down in Kansas City, we were one of the cities that went the longest than any other city. So to have that, all of those noises go away and then to celebrate them coming back was so huge, monumental, for all of us.
Oh, it sure was. We did a Birdland gig. What we thought was the tail end of the pandemic.
Not so much. January of 2022, right before we got to the union.
And it was kind of frightening. In fact, I was really hoping that they would have canceled the gig. Yeah. I wasn't going to cancel it, but I was hoping that Birdland would have called me and said that we can't do it. Things had really started perking up again with the COVID thing, and we were kind of tight about doing it. It was a crazy period. Wow.
It was, but that was your book release. You did the book release
that was the
night.
Book release, yes.
It turned out to be a great night anyway. But yeah, we were nervous when we got there. But
the fact that we both got COVID.
But not that night. No, we didn't get COVID after that. It was a miracle. It was like the worst. January 2022, they had this huge resurgence. But
I think we went and saw a show, a double bill at a club. And my wife got COVID right after that. Now, I got it early on with my son, and we kind of shared the genome. And my wife and stepdaughter didn't get it. We just separated in the house. This was in November of 2020. And I thought I had allergies. He thought he had allergies. But, everything was so heightened, So, but the whole thing's a blur. The whole thing almost seems like some Twilight Zone episode we were shoved into. And then the alarm clock went off. And it's like, all right, come on out. Come on out of wherever you're at. It was very strange.
Still a little shell shock. We just went out to LA and came back, and we still decided we don't want anything. We don't care about COVID we just don't want to get anything anymore. Yeah. So we're wearing masks on the plane, going out and coming back. But we just had fun, and it's all good times again. Thank God. Yeah.
I think we're so close to it, the PTSD, that it's going to take a long time for the camera to come out and be like, all right, okay, this is what's going on. But I think the best thing that we can do from a healthy mindset is get back to what we're doing. Me consuming music, you making music. And I think, and music, as we all know, is one of the best medicines on the planet. So I think that's going to be an antidote to a lot of the divisive, weird ills that we live through as Americans. So
we'll always have a new problem. Don't worry. There'll always be something new on the side.
Yeah.
But yeah, we really enjoyed making the album, and it's been a joy. It really has been. We worked with 3 amazing guest artists. We had Randy Brecker, Ken Peplowski, and Lew Tabackin, and of course, some, as Ronnie would say, legends in the making on our album. And we're really excited for everybody to hear it, and we're real proud of it. Very proud of it.
I just want to. We were talking about the studio last year when we recorded. It was just so amazing. There was something magical going on that day, and it might have had some. In fact, I'm pretty sure it had everything to do with COVID. Everybody was just like, "Wow, playing music again, real instruments, we're not listening to each other on the computers. You know, we're in a room, we're playing, we hear each other acoustically, and it was the energy level was just so. I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, holy Jesus, I never heard anything like this. This band was so hot. I mean, Angela and the band were bouncing off each other. It was an experience of my life.
You let the bull out of the gate, honey. That's it.
I've been in sessions before. I thought the first Swing of Legends was great, with Lionel Hampton and Frank Foster and everybody in the studio. That was all done live as well. But this one, it had that, and then that little extra. There was something else going on.
I could feel it listening to it. I can definitely feel that. So my next question is this: what are you hoping the listener gets from this album?
I guess joy, really, just joy. Right?
Yeah. It's love songs. It's not a political thing. No. it's just music to feel good, and we just hope it makes people feel good.
Listen, when we were listening to the mixes, we would go down to the beach on the boardwalk and put our headphones in. We're crazy people. We synchronize ourselves. We count down, and then we both start listening to the album at the same time.
Sure.
So we know where we are. And maybe it's just the beach. I'm not sure what it was, but by the time we were done with the walk and the album, I felt exuberant.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we want. I think music is there for people to feel. It's a way for artists to express their feelings, and it's a way for people to kind of get those emotions too. Because when I listen to it just from a third party kind of thing, I feel the band, I feel the excitement of the solos, or if it's a big band thing, I feel the excitement. It's like that wave cresting and coming in. You want to just kind of like hop on and just come into shore with it. And on the ballads, you want people to feel what you feel about a song, to listen to the lyrics and just enjoy it. I hope it just gives people just joy, really.
Yeah, I feel it. It emanates from the album. So what are you doing? You talked about coming back from LA. What are you doing for live performance? How are you promoting the album? And of course, the new book. How's all of that transpiring right now?
Actually, we're getting radio play pretty much nationally, all over the place. We have a really good radio promotion guy who's taking care of business with that. And we'll be at Bergman January 28th, I believe. Yeah. We're doing a show in January, kind of kick off the, officially kick off the release there. Yeah. And we have our publicist into it. She's sending us these reviews from all these different places. So we're still in the early stages of getting this thing out there.
It's a work in progress for sure. I didn't realize how long it took. Sometimes my timeline is, okay, well, here's the album, send it out here. They'll look at it and get it back to us in a week or two. We're kind of like that. I think personally, maybe we're like type A personalities. He finished his book in about 2 months, drove me crazy about that. I couldn't believe it. But, so we think everyone else is on the same page, but they have, funny reminds me, hundreds and thousands of albums and things to come in and listen to and review all the time. So I have to lower my expectations a little bit about timelines. So, but everything is finally gelling, and I think we're finally getting the feedback and the reaction that we were hoping for. So
yeah, but it's tough. Pushing a big band,
real hard work.
So we do have we do work with the rhythm section, small group, 5-piece group as well, and we're hoping that might pick up a little bit with this album getting some exposure. So we'll see.
We always look at albums these days as, we call them expensive business cards, right?
Yeah, right. That's right.
Yeah, but what we did was, because a lot of people said, well, nobody listens to CDs anymore. Just put it out digitally. But that was not for us, because this thing has a rip in it. This is bothering me. I'll cover that. But we have a real, I figure when you do all this, you want to have a real thing with a booklet on the inside, and you want to be able for people to, read about the whole thing and see. I want all the musicians to know that their names are there, they're appreciated, backstory and everything. I think it's an experience when you buy a CD. I mean, people are welcome to buy it digitally, and we have the PDF of the liner notes and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
I just personally like CDs, and vinyl came back.
Yeah.
CDs.
That's right. Yeah, no, I don't think anything physically is ever going to go away. It's like people read books on Kindles, but books will always be here. There's always going to
Yeah.
be a physical, tangible reality that's going to go into it. Speaking of that reality, if anyone wants to pick up, whether it's volume 2 or volume 1, pick up the book, where's the best place for them to go and find out about live shows?
Actually, my website, or Angela's website, mine is ronaprea.com. And hers is AngelaDeNiro.com.
That's pretty easy, right?
I don't want to be places. I don't know if my book is on your
No,
your
the book
website.
is on Ron's solely.
But a book would be on my website.
But if you're looking for,
I got to say one more thing.
Go ahead.
What a kick it was! Not only doing this project and writing this music and hearing this music, hearing Angela with the band. What a kick it was, and it always is, working with people like Randy Brecker. Such a great trumpet player. And Ken Peplowski and Lew Tabackin. What an honor it is. I mean, Lew and I are great friends. We go back to the 60s when we toured with Les Elgart's band, so we're good friends. But what a kick it is to work with people on that level.
Yeah.
And not to downplay the importance or the musicianship of the people that are legends. We had some people, the Todd Bayshore, for example, played lead alto for me, a young monster alto player, and Brian Davis, a young killer trumpet player too. But what a kick it is for me to be surrounded with so much talent. Having Angela as part of it, one that fills my life.
It was a trip. It was a total lifeline too. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well said. I'm so glad you added that. What a triumphant way to kind of wrap everything up. It's so great to catch up with you. Thank you for talking about the album and living through this bizarre modern world we're in right now.
Well, we're glad we're here. So
yes. Yeah, and I can't wait to get it on the show. Links will be coming out. Thank you so much. Best of luck with everything. Stay safe out there in America.
Okay, thank you. Take care.
Take care.
Cheers. See you later.